Hello, this is Craig Mertens, Director of Product Education for Printavo, the parent company of InkSoft, GraphicsFlow, and Printavo. Welcome to our webcast today. This is the first part of a four-part series that we're co-hosting with the good folks from Supacolor. And so Supacolor is a partner of ours, company that I have deep admiration for. I am a super fan of Supacolor. I love what they do. It's given our clients so much freedom. It's opened up new markets, the ability to have very cost-effective transfers on light and dark garments on multiple different substrate types with low minimums and great pricing. It's like a dream come true. And so we're huge fans of Supacolor. We'll talk a little bit more about how we kind of fit into the mix as we advance along here. Welcome to the webcast today. What we're going to be talking about today is we're going to specifically be talking about leveraging graphics to maximize your sales. And one of the things I always like to mention is, people they're not out buying blank t-shirts when they're buying t-shirts. They're really looking at the graphic first. And I learned that early on in my career. It's interesting. I have our product catalog for our family imprinting business from 1970. I was just going through it the other day, and it's pretty hilarious, the signs in there. But I pressed my first shirt on a heat transfer in the basement of my parents' home in 1970. Isn't that crazy? And even back then, it was all graphics driven. The whole business is graphics driven. The challenge is not everybody has the skill level or the resources to produce graphics at a high level. And the other challenge is, our clients just don't really understand what it takes to create great looking graphics. They just think they materialize out of the ether. And, they don't understand there's human capital involved in creating artwork. And we're going to show you some best practices and ways of bypassing that traditional process of creating a great looking graphic without having to spend the time and expense to do it. I was a manufacturer's rep in the decorated apparel business. My parents had a collegiate business all up and through the 90s. We closed that business, sold it to we sold it to another company. They bankrupted it. We bought all the artwork back from the bankruptcy court, turned it into clip art and design templates, and formed a company called Digital Art Solutions, which I ran with my sister until 2019. And we're the kind of the industry leader in graphics content for the apparel decoration industry. Sold that company to InkSoft in 2019. We rebranded the company, brought it into the cloud, renamed it GraphicsFlow, and then we're now currently part of the 3-brand coalition of Printavo. And so Printavo is one of the sister companies. That's shop management and everything you need to run your shop, from quotations to art approvals to invoicing, all those scheduling on your equipment. Our other sister company is InkSoft, which is the gold standard in e-commerce. They're also the company that kind of pioneered this online designer technology. And then GraphicsFlow, which you'll see in the class today, that is graphics management. And in its pure sense, it's stock art content, but it's pretty interesting what we've done with it. I want to start off the presentation today. I want to talk specifically about, this process of what customers go through when they select artwork. 4 major methods for art selection by our proverbial customers, end users, whatever you'd like to call them. Decorator, goes on, asks the customer to go online and find something. That's kind of what we were talking about. Would be my least preferred way of doing it, and we'll get into that a little bit. The buyer already has graphics that they created and they developed. That's another method. The decorator must produce a custom graphic. They don't really know what they want. They don't have what they want. So you're kind of put in this position where you have to create something for them, possibly from scratch. And then the other method, which is the buyer selects from stock designs that can be easily customized. And that's what GraphicsFlow does. And so let's talk about kind of the pros and cons a little bit of each one of these processes. So when you're sending a customer to buy online, you've now given up the control of the sales process. The sales process is now in the hands of the buyer, and they're free to find your competitors. And when they're out surfing online, they can absolutely find exactly what they're looking for from somebody else. And that gives you the potential of losing your customer or your order. And a good example of that is my daughter got married last year, and they went into a local jewelry store in Portland, and they were trying to pick out a wedding ring, and the store didn't have exactly what they were looking for. And so the store owner said, hey, just go online, find out what you're looking for. We can, we have rapid prototyping here. We can make whatever you want. So my daughter and my now son-in-law went online and they found exactly what they were looking for, and they bought it online. And this local jeweler never had an opportunity to make the sale. And as much as my daughter is buy local, it was just easier for her to do it online. So sending your clients to the internet, I think is kind of a risky proposition. Some of the other issues with that is graphics may not be suitable for your production process. So artwork has to be prepared a certain way for each process, whether it's, a hybrid transfer like a Supacolor transfer or sublimation or screen printing. And just because a graphics exists in a web page doesn't mean it's going to work for your production process. And I'll show you a great example of that as we kind of move through things. Copyright issues. Everybody's got their own level of sensitivity as far as copyright issues. We have, in our company, we have a zero tolerance policy on using other people's copyrighted materials because we're a big company and, we don't want to ever get the letter. But, when your customers go online, they don't necessarily care about copyrights because whose liability it is? It's your liability. They're not assuming the liability if you print something that has copyright issues. It's the printer's liability. And so you should always be sensitive to that. Also, higher art development costs. If somebody goes and screen captures something on one of the big online sites, like this image right here is custom ink, and you have to recreate that, there's going to be time and, expense in terms of doing that. If you don't have the skills to do that yourself, then you have to pay somebody to do that. And that can be expensive and can also lead to delays in production. Customer supplied artwork. I think in the case of a logo, doing a logo that somebody comes to you and says, hey, I just need you to do my logo. That's a very common situation in our industry. And the challenge with that, and one of the pitfalls of, just doing logos on stuff, is it becomes a commodity. And so if you're doing logos on stuff, if you have a savvy buyer, they can go to another supplier and say, hey, this guy's doing it for me for $12. Can you beat their price? And he says, yeah, I can do it for $10.50. You lose that customer. If you're controlling the artwork process, they can't get that artwork through anybody but you. And so it kind of bypasses that issue. So we want the quote logos on stuff business, but there is definitely kind of a concentration risk with that because you do get you get buyer turnover, and the new buyer is just a little bit more savvy, and they're going to shop you around. The other thing, if it's this proverbial situation where, hey, my cousin designed our family reunion design, you have no idea whether that file is going to be production ready. And that's a real example where I had a client where the cousin designed the family reunion design, and the customer sent me basically a JPEG of a photo of the image, and I'm like, I can't imagine a production process that's going to work with this. Basically, it was colored pencil scratch that your cousin did. You're just going to be better off having a professional artist redraw this and just spending the money to have somebody redraw it. And that's what they ended up doing. And they ordered transfers, and it was the net result of that. And, higher art development costs. So, anytime you're having to rebuild art, you're going to have higher art development costs. And that comes to custom art development. So you see these wonderful graphics on the side here. This is super impressive. This is the kind of stuff I would wear. This is a customer of ours. Really admire the work they do. This kind of art, I can tell you, I've managed art departments for, close to 30 years. Some of these designs have, 5, 10, 15, 20 hours worth of illustration time. And this is not, certainly you can get some of this work done offshore, but even, offshore, you're looking at, $150 worth of development costs. And if you're having a domestic artist design this Wisconsin design right here, you could be looking at a pretty good chunk of change. So custom art development should be reserved for your larger orders where you have a higher minimum order, or for clients where it's going to be an ongoing program where they're going to be reordering. You can afford to spend money on developing custom artwork if, you're selling to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, and one design in, all 50 stores is going to produce 10,000 units over the years. If you spend $1,000 to develop that graphic, it would certainly be worth it, but that's not going to work on a 48 piece order. So you have to be sensitive to that. And then also there's always going to be revisions when you're doing custom art. And I've heard this story over and over again from clients. I did this custom artwork for this customer, and then it never went anywhere. And I spent all this time and energy developing it, and then they never placed the order. That's kind of on you. If you don't get that upfront contract, or at least charge them something upfront for the development, if they decide not to buy from you, you've got yourself covered. And, anytime you're charging for artwork, it's going to create friction with the client, because again, the customer doesn't understand that artwork doesn't just fall out of trees. It doesn't just magically materialize. They don't recognize that it's going to take some human intervention to do that. So where we come in at GraphicsFlow is customizable stock art. So because we were formerly printers, we understand how to put artwork together for printing. so that it's production ready. And we've developed this massive library of customizable stock designs. You don't even need a professional graphics program to modify our designs, because we can do that all in our cloud-based app. And so one of the advantages of using stock designs is you're controlling the sales process. It's completely within your hands. And so you're also going to reduce your art development costs. You don't have all the expense of developing custom. You're also establishing that value for your company with your creative services. You're telling your customers, hey, listen, what we offer here is our service. It's not just a product. We're offering our services, and you're making it easier for your clients to buy from you. In today's day and age, let me tell you, if you make it easier for people to buy from you, they're more likely to do business with you. Ensure that graphics are production ready. So when you start off with a stock graphic that's professionally crafted, it's starting off production ready. So we don't have to worry about, if we're sending that file to an outside vendor, or if we have to go to color separations for screen printing or color correct it for sublimation. If we have a production ready file that's easy to manipulate, then we don't have all those extra steps. Also, copyright issues are a non-issue, because when you use stock graphics, you're licensed to use the content. So that's pretty important. So with that being said, what you want, ultimately what you want to do is you want to be able to get graphical ideas in front of your customers that look like what they're seeing at retail. The current retail trends. I just did a screen grab when I put this slide together of the top sellers for the playoffs for one of the big online retailers. And our customers, they expect you to be able to produce artwork at that same level. And so, it was interesting. I was talking to one of my clients about this topic, and what she shared with me, she said, hey, one of the things I really dig about what you guys do is I don't have to do all the research. So I used to go comb the internet and do all the research to figure out what the current graphical trends are, and says, you've done that for me. And so, big companies, your Nikes and Adidas's and Under Armours, they have whole teams that, art staffs that do this R&D, and they do focus groups and test runs and all this kind of stuff. So what we're doing is kind of capitalizing on their R&D. We're looking at all the graphical trends. We're seeing what the best-selling t-shirt designs are on the different merch outlets. And then we're identifying those trends, and then we're building graphics around those trends. So every single month we come out with new graphics, and they're on trend. That doesn't mean you're always going to connect with the graphic, because what's happening in California might not get to your neck of the woods till 6 months or a year from now. So, or in New York, for instance, everything happens at first on the coast, right? So using customizable stock design is a great way to kind of jumpstart your creativity. So you don't have to be a great artist. You just have to have kind of an eye for what you want, and then you select a graphic based on style, and then modify it to your needs. And the other thing too is samples. Whether it's a virtual sample or a real sample, you lay a sample on somebody and they connect with that graphic or the quality there. That's a very powerful tool in the day of all this impersonalized web communication and email and web chat and all of that. There's something magical about a physical sample. So if you do a really great graphic for one customer, or really a smart way to do it is a community graphic for your community, something really cool, you can make that your sample and give that out to prospective buyers. And what does that really cost you? Shirts, $3 and maybe another $2-3 for the transfer, a $6 marketing tool that, maybe you lay 10 of those out and you close 3 new deals. That's a pretty good return on investment. So I feel like, samples are really important. And that's where Supacolor comes in, because when you're doing, a Supacolor transfer, you're able to do full color prints, and you're able to do low minimum order qualities with a very high quality transfer. And so you'll hear the word thrown around, direct to film, DTF, or direct to film transfer. Supacolor is not a DTF transfer. It's a hybrid digital transfer. And so the difference with the Supacolor transfer is when you look at direct to film, the way it works is you have a solvent inkjet printer. It's got ink, it's got print heads, it prints the color, then it has a channel for the white ink, prints that onto a PET film. PET film goes through a shaker unit that puts the powder coated adhesive onto the wet, white ink. That goes through a drying unit, basically melts the adhesive into the transfer, rolls up on a take-up reel, and cut it into transfers, and you're ready to go. With a Supacolor transfer, they're using a process that involves a digital set printer using printing plates. There's no inkjet or spray heads involved. at all. It's basically these giant printing machines create 4 plates for each transfer. They create them on the fly. It's all done digitally. And there's multiple passes, this big old drum, and each pass lays a color down, and they lay these colors down on top of each other. Instead of using an inkjet, they use these drums. And so they can produce these transfers very, very quickly, but at a higher resolution that you can do on an inkjet. So fast, higher resolution. It's basically the same process that they use to print posters or, magazines. It's the same process, same types of presses. And so they're using a digital offset printer, and then they have a process that they created where they're screen printing the white underbase onto the part they print digitally. And so the advantage of doing the screen printed underbase is they can vary the chemistry of the underbase based on what you're printing on. So if you're doing, say, nylon, or let's say it's a performance wear shirt that's already pre-sublimated with a digital camo pattern, in a regular transfer, if we put a regular transfer on there, like a DTF transfer, the dye can migrate through the shirt, through the transfer, and change the color of the transfer. But with Supacolor, they just alter the chemistry of the underbase, so we don't have to worry about that. So Supacolor transfers, you can tell I'm pretty enamored with the technology. I'm a customer too. They do transfers for us for our uniforms, and it's just pretty remarkable the quality that comes through. And one of the other things that that I really admire about Supacolor is that they'll fix the artwork for you. And I'll show you an example of you think we'd know better to send them perfect artwork for our trade show shirts, but unfortunately we didn't, and they fixed the art and turned out really good. So when you're selling Supacolor transfers, one of the things you want to do is, especially if you're competing with the local screen printers, is you want to focus on the areas where screen printers are going to struggle. So lower minimum orders, the screen printer is certainly going to struggle. Full color graphics and things like photographs. So full color graphics, think of your average like NASCAR t-shirt, right? That's going to be an 8-color print. It's going to be an expensive job to set up on a screen printing press. They need to either charge the customer for setup, or they need to have large minimum order quantities to make that cost effective. And so they're not going to set up a photorealistic print for 4 dozen. They just can't make any money on it. And it's a very specialized type of printing. Usually folks are either doing those kind of color separations in-house or sending them off. And all of a sudden Supacolor comes along like, hey, we could do the same thing, but actually with more vivid graphics and lower minimums, and you'll actually like the print quality in the hand better, and here you go. That's where you can compete. So we're seeing a lot of our screen printing customers stepping into direct-to-film and hybrid transfers, and it's a really great niche. And one of the things that we're seeing people do is positioning those Supacolor transfers as a premium decoration process. And I think you can easily make the claim better than screen printing. It certainly washes better. Supacolor transfer is going to wash better from screen printing. It's going to have more vibrant colors, create quite a bit more detail. I think if you put 2 designs next to each other and compare the two, I think that people are going to select the Supacolor design on a transfer every time. Identifying your market is very important. And one of the things that I think is, it's common sense, but I think it's worth pointing out is that you got to plug into your community. If you're coaching soccer, if you're involved in church youth group, if you're a scout leader, that's where you start, and you need to let people know within your sphere that, hey, listen, I have a decorated apparel business and I'm the person you talk to if you need decorated apparel or t-shirts or promotional products. We do that. If you don't let people know that you do that, then you lose that whole opportunity to get referrals. And so, there's obviously boundaries there. Not everybody's going to be comfortable, sharing themselves in that way. For me personally, everybody knows what I do, and they get it completely confused and think I'm in the t-shirt business. Say, hey, Craig, I need to order shirts, which is a great thing for our customers, because then I got to find a customer they can order from. So that's kind of an interesting deal. But one of the things that I always suggest is looking for underserved markets, and giving you a very specific example of that. Let's take the school business, which is very competitive. Is if you're looking to get into, high school sports, going after the football team, basketball team, and the biggest activity at any school is going to be the marching band. That's going to be very competitive to go after that. So what you do is you go after some of the smaller groups, go after girls volleyball, which is becoming super popular, go after the drama club, go after the jazz band, the orchestra, some of the smaller organizations within the school, because they're not getting the same amount of attention as these big high profile activities and sports within a school. So underserved markets is, I think, a really good place to start. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about corporate lifestyle apparel and how we can kind of, actually, this is a good point to actually talk about it. A lot of times people don't really understand what I mean by corporate lifestyle apparel, but there's an easy way to show you. Yeah, let me do that real quick. I set up this demo file here. I had to get a little bit of a medical procedure last Friday. And while I was chilling out, waiting, nurse came in, and she was wearing this really cool t-shirt. It was just like a kind of a ladies cut Oxford gray t-shirt, and it had Honor Health on it. And it had this it was kind of an Arizona scene. We're in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I complimented her on the shirt. And I said, hey, you actually enjoy wearing that shirt. Like when you pick it out of your wardrobe and wear it to work, you feel good about wearing it. She goes, absolutely. And I said, well, what would you feel about just wearing the Honor Health logo on a shirt? She goes, yeah, I wouldn't be too excited about that. So corporate lifestyle branding is when you're selling into small businesses, instead of just doing this as logo work here, which is a commodity for sure, developing graphics around, themes that have the business name. And this is just a template from GraphicsFlow that I've modded out with a little landscape view and swirl cactus in there. And this is kind of my version of the design that the nurse is wearing. Actually, I think it's a little bit better than her design. But the whole idea here is being able to go into the corporate market without having this mentality of logos on stuff. And that's what I'm talking about when we talk about that, kind of that lifestyle, branding idea. So let's see here. Get back to my slides. Oh, market opportunities. Okay, perfect. So, graphics are what opens up new markets. So here's what I mean by that. If you want to sell into a niche market, you have to have graphics for that market. So if you're selling into, let's say, some of these popular niche markets, schools, you need school graphics. Small businesses, corporate lifestyle apparel. Churches, faith-based graphics. First responders, dance, cheer, military, all these niche markets, you have to have graphics that correspond to that. And this screen grab right here, this is actually from what we call an art portal, which you guys are going to see here in a second. And this is where customers can go look through our work and select art and submit it for an art request. So kind of getting your market identified. And I do want to talk briefly about social media. I just want to light a fire real quick. You have to have Instagram. You have to have Facebook. You need to link the two together so that when you post to Instagram, that it also posts to Facebook. You need to utilize hashtags anytime you post. You want to also make sure that you're utilizing Instagram Reels and Shorts. And I have a link in here in the handout, which you guys can all download, that talks about how to get set up for local SEO with Google. This is an excellent article. I think it's one of the better things I've read about getting set up for SEO. And let's do that real quick. And kind of just show you what that looks like. So this is the article right here. And it just talks about this whole principle of EAT, E-E-A-T, which stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, I think that's a word, and trustworthiness. And this is how Google ranks you. So the kind of things that Google is looking for when you set up a Google business account is they want to see local reviews, so getting your friends and family members to 5-star review you. And you just tell them, hey, listen, can you please go and review my business and 5-star me? Using the Google business profile to post, what's going on with your organization, super important. Putting bios of your employees in your Google business profile and customer photos. So if you don't know what a Google business profile is, when you go and type in screen printers in Scottsdale, those people that are coming up, that's the Google profile businesses. And so if you're in a situation where you don't have one of those profiles, you do a quick little Google search and you can set one up. And if you happen to find your profile and you haven't claimed it, you need to claim it because Google will set one up for you. And so what you want to do, you want to go and claim that. You just can click on the profile, there's a link to claim it, and they're going to verify that you're the owner, and then you can start posting, which is really important. So, I think the number one way people find local businesses to order merch from is a Google search. So getting, some SEO on your Google business is really important. So I just dropped this article in here, and I want to show you just a really great example of what one of our customers does with Instagram Reels. This is Jill Clark. She started out with just her and a vinyl cutter and a heat press, and she's built this kind of empire in the dance and cheer world. She hosts e-commerce stores. These are all InkSoft stores, our sister company. Let's see here. For all these organizations, she's kind of the queen of bling. One of the things that she did early on is she started posting these reveal videos of her work. And if you go to her Instagram account, let's go down here to her main page, and you can just scroll down here and click on Instagram. She posts these reveal videos. I mean, they're just cool, and when she's producing something that, she's proud of, what she'll do is post a little video. Notice she's got 16,000 Instagram followers. She does not advertise at all. Her whole business is built off of Instagram. So this is what a reel looks like. And so it's done on her iPhone. She does a little basic editing on them. Every one is a little bit different. She uses hashtags to kind of get the message out. If it's to a specific customer, she'll go and, do an at so-and-so client, like at Aces here. See, she's got them copied on here. She gets tons of comments, tons of likes, and people always see what she has going on. She doesn't post to Facebook. There's Jill right here. What she does is she has her Instagram automatically clone the post to Facebook and Twitter when she posts to Instagram. So she's just got her two accounts linked together. And I think she's got one of the better social media games out there. And, if you just wanted to copy somebody's, kind of their concept for social media, I think Jill would be a great place to start. So let's talk about conducting a successful marketing campaign, and then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it. And so the one thing I always like to encourage you guys is to do a little bit of homework and identifying the key decision makers. Whether you're doing a Google search and identify businesses within your area, whether you're driving past these businesses and taking notes, whether you're going to the school district's website and, compiling a list of faculty and parent sponsors of the various organizations and groups, you do have to identify the decision maker. And there's nothing wrong with calling a company and saying, hey, listen, I'm a local business, and, I'd like to introduce myself. Who would be the person I would talk to, and what's their email address? The other thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to curate graphics that will connect with that market. We're going to do that. Craft a simple, straight to the point email with a follow-up sequence. I went and bookmarked from our blog. Let's see here. Yeah. So if you go to GraphicsFlow.com and you click on blog, you're going to see this article right here. And this, if you want to know how to craft a little prospecting email, we have a little kit, show you exactly how to do that and how to kind of wrap that into graphics. And so you can just go to this page and download the little kit. They're giving you all the social media posts, the email copy. There's even graphics in there. Basically done the legwork for you and kind of laid out this really nice little template for you guys to do that. So it says GraphicsFlow.com and just click on the blog. But even if it's just a matter of leaving a message and saying, hey, listen, this is Craig. I'm a local business. We're apparel decorator. We have full service graphics capability. I sent you some graphical ideas and some neat things that we could do for your business. Check your email. If you're interested in meeting with us, my meeting link is right in there. Feel free to email me back. And then the key is following up. You can't just fire and forget. It's one thing to pat yourself on the back for sending out 24 prospecting emails and making 12 phone calls. That's not when you pat yourself on the back. You pat yourself on the back is when you close one of those deals. And so, scheduling regular follow-up, aim for the stars. I always tell my clients, you don't have to, you're going to have your customers that are going to be, your friends and family members, you're going to get them because they like you and they're just going to do business with you because of who you are, right? And then you kind of have your next tier group that you're going to have to reach for a little bit and cultivate. And then you got people that, you really like to do business with, but you think they might be a reach. You still put those folks on your list. It's just a matter of, priming that pump in that sales pipeline and staying after it. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. And what I've done here is I've gone into my GraphicsFlow account. So GraphicsFlow is a web app. So back in the digital art solutions days, we sold discs and drives, and then we went to downloads, and people would just buy collections of artwork. It doesn't work that way anymore. The way it works now is all of our clients get access to everything we have. We come out with new artwork every single month. This is the new art drop. And these are all production ready files. If you're an Adobe Illustrator user, or a CorelDRAW user, and you just wanted to download the Corel or Illustrator version of this file, you can do that, and you can edit these files in your Pro Graphics program. But you can also edit these files in the cloud using what we call our stock art customizer, and we'll get to that in a second. But when you first log into GraphicsFlow, what you're going to see is the design ideas, which are templates with live text that you can edit. And you're also going to see clip art. This is specialized clip art for apparel decoration. And what you'll see up top here is you're going to see the design elements for this month's art drop. But we produce clip art for apparel decoration. And so if you want like a cool looking mascot that looks like the LSU Tiger, we're going to have something like that. And these are all production ready vector files, super easy to recolor, all set up in layers. And the idea here is to interchange these graphics within the graphical elements of our designs. And then we're also a font foundry. If you're already a GraphicsFlow client, you'll notice when you logged in this morning, there is about 200 new fonts. So we dropped in 200 new fonts into GraphicsFlow, including all these cool new script fonts and new sports fonts. One of the things that's really popular right now is these kind of handwritten, lettery script fonts like this. We just dropped in, I don't know, there was like 40 or 50 new versions of that. We're very well known for sports fonts. A lot of the big retail brands use our sports fonts, whether they're our block fonts or our script fonts. So good templates start with good fonts. So when you first log into GraphicsFlow, this is what you're gonna see. So if I'm doing a sales prospecting campaign, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a showcase of artwork for my customer, and I'm going to do an email campaign to that customer with that showcase of art. So the way I would do that is I would come over here, I would go to art approvals, and I'd create a new art approval. And that new art approval could be, it could be just, pretty much anything, but hey, we'll do it this way. Let's create a graphic first, and then we'll set the art approval up. So let's do it a little bit different. So I'm going to create a graphic specifically for this campaign, and then we're going to add additional artwork to that graphic. So let's do that. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to try to go after an automotive repair company in my area. So I just typed in auto. Maybe I have a specific style I'm looking for. Maybe I wanted to look for like a patch style, because patches are very popular right now. So I can do that. But I'm just going to look at automotive graphics, and I'm going to find one that I think would really work. And I really like this graphic right here. I think it's really sharp. And so I'm going to click on that graphic, and I could download that into Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW and edit it that way, but I don't need to do that because I have the stock art customizer. So all of the Supacolor customers that signed up for a GraphicsFlow account are going to sign up for an elite GraphicsFlow account that has the stock art customizer. And so if I click on customize here, I'm going to get a little panel at the right that's going to allow me to make changes to this design. And so you'll notice there's multiple versions of some of the text here, and that's because these are multiple line text effects. We have the same text stacked on top of each other. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to Heritage Motors. Heritage, there we go. Motors. Spell check is nice. There we go. So we'll hit enter there. We'll get the first line of text, and then I'll just copy and paste that in there. Here's the second line. And I don't need to have any kind of graphic skills to do this. Anybody can do this. We'll change the foundation date to 1966. I'm going to change custom classics to Tempe, Arizona. Hit enter. Same thing down here. Repair and parts, we're going to change that to Arizona. Here's that. And we've got all the text values changed. Now, next thing I do is I can change the clip art. So if you'll notice the background stock element is right here, and then you have the clip art right here. So if I want to change the clip art, I'm just going to click the little icon right here. I'm going to click on replace clip art. And I think I want to use something that has maybe an engine block in it. So I'm just going to type in engine and see what we've got. And we've got this one right here. It's 2-color. I could do a multicolor version, but I'm just going to use this 2-color version. Crossed wrenches with an engine block. Looks like it's a V8. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And we'll hit apply. kind of just popped into place there. We can move that around and alter it. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to change the color scheme a little bit because I want to set this up for black. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take this color right here. We're actually going to merge that. So I'm going to merge that into this color. So we've got one fewer color. And then I'm going to take this black right here and I'm going to turn that to cream. If we hate it, we can change it. So let's take the black. And actually, I think I'm going to take the light gray. I think I'm going to take this color and turn it into green. Let's see if we like it. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, and then let's see where the red is. Let's make the red. Oh, the red looks good. So we just have to deal with the black. So I think I'm going to take the black and then combine that with the gray. And because the black's not going to look good on black, and we're going to see if we like it. Yeah, it looks cool. All right, so I'm going to hit apply. And so we've created our little custom graphic. Now, if you're screen printing, you can just send this out because it's color separated. But we're using a Supacolor transfer, so we don't have to do anything. And it was interesting. I was talking to Brett Sands, who manages the art department at Supacolor, and asked him, actually interviewed him, and I interviewed him, and I asked him, hey, tell me what kind of art you want. Like, what's the perfect situation? He says, give me a PDF file with vector art with either Pantone colors or CMYK colors. And I go, that's why you love getting artwork from our customers. And he goes, exactly. So for Supacolor, this is like the perfect artwork for what they're doing. And so what I'm going to do is save this design. I'm going to click on save. And then we're going to name it. We'll call it Heritage Motors Engine 02. I think I already had an Engine 01. I'm going to save it into my GraphicsFlow account so it's nice and safely and secured in the cloud. And anybody in my company can go grab this art now. So we're going to go in here and save it right in there. We're going to hit save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to an art approval now. And we're going to create a new art approval. And we're going to call this Heritage Motors Concept. There we go. And this is what's going to create the showcase. So one of the designs that we're going to put in here is going to be customized to them. And the rest of the designs are just going to be just kind of generic designs from what I'm going to add in here. And it could be artwork that I already produced and I uploaded to my GraphicsFlow account. So let's go over here to art approvals and let's click on this one. And then I'm going to go and select background for this. So we talked about putting this on black. So we're going to click on that graphic right over here. And I'm going to change my background color. I'm doing all this in a web app. You can do everything I've done right here. You can do on your phone or your tablet or your Mac or your Windows computer. And so let's add some more art. So I'm going to go over here to stock art, or I could go to my art if I was pulling some of my own designs in, but I'll go to stock art and I'll go back and do that same filter for auto, hit enter. And then I'll pick out some designs here that I dig. And we're going to kind of do a little bit kind of industrial kind of looking, some industrial looking kind of graphics here. So just pick out these. So we've added those in. And if we want to, we can play around with background colors and all of these as well. So I think it always looks a little bit better, but you guys get the gist. And then the one thing I am going to do is I'm going to move this design to the very top. So I'm going to move that to the top. So how do I get this to the client? It's a great question. How I get this to the client is I share it. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click share and invite collaborators. And then I can grab this shareable link right here. And in this case, I can have a link that's either comment and approve, or view only. So I'm actually going to do a commenting link so that the customer can make comments. We're not really doing a final approval of the art. I'm just getting ideas in front of them and trying to engage them in this graphics process to say, hey, listen, you know, we can do this awesome art for you, a lot cooler than those boring logo shirts that you guys have in your pro shop. So I'm just going to copy that link. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that in the chat. So those of you that are on the live webcast, you guys can download that. Cool, huh? So this would be one way that I would get ideas in front of a customer. And I'm going to download a PDF version of this file here real quick, because we're actually going to do something else a little bit different here in a second. So I'm going to go to my art where I saved it. You remember I saved it under Heritage. So let's go find that folder. And I'm going to download PDF version of the file right here. So download PDF. I'll just put it in my downloads folder for now. So we'll just leave that right there. Okay. And the other thing I can do is I can send them a link to my art portal, because one of the things that I have is my own portal where I can send my customers, they can go in and search for graphics. They can select a graphic, and then they can submit a request, and then I can personalize that graphic. So if the customer came in here and let's say they picked, one of these cool patch designs like this right here. Let's say, I kind of dig this right here. They can put in their notes on what they want changed. They can add it. They can check out. And once they do that, guess what? I get an email that says, hey, there's a new design request. So in my GraphicsFlow account, I just got an email and a notification in the app that says, hey, you know what? You got a new design request. And it has all the information that the customer keyed in there. And you know what? If you want to edit that, guess what? Go to the customizer. You're done. And that's how easy it is to do that. So do you have to have a professional graphic designer to do this? Nope. Can anyone in your office do this? Yep. Do you get a production ready file that you can send off to Supacolor and they can make transfers? Absolutely. This is this quicker, faster way to get production ready, very high-end graphics in front of your customers, make sales, and then off to Supacolor to have them do the transfers. So this is an absolutely phenomenal way to utilize our tech in a prospecting campaign. And so we're going to take it a step further, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to sail into my InkSoft account and I'm going to set up a little proposal with this graphic. So very clearly, InkSoft is a different product. It's a sister company, but it's a different product. It is related to GraphicsFlow in the fact that we're all three of us are Printavo companies, Printavo, GraphicsFlow, and InkSoft, but this is not included with the GraphicsFlow account. I have an InkSoft account. I'm just going to kind of show you how they work together. So what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to create a proposal with that graphic. And I've already set up a little web store for this particular client. And so this web store is going to need this graphic added to it. So we can do that first. So let's do that first. So I'm going to go in and add that graphic to the store. Show how easy that is to do. So I'm just going to go into my stores that I already created, and then we're just going to feature this graphic in my web store. Make it really easy for ourselves. So here's my little store, Heritage Motors. I'm going to click on that store. And I'm going to go to what's called Style Editor. So when I set up a store, I go through kind of a configuration wizard where I pick the color scheme. It will automatically put the logo in here, create the color scheme. I can add a banner. I can pretty much add anything I want to this. I added a testimonial. It's super easy to create a store in InkSoft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Style Editor, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say I'm going to add a component, and that component is going to be a featured product. So we're going to load the data from my featured product. I already had this product uploaded, but let me show you how you manage products. Just go over here and go to Manage Products. And we'll take that out of there real quick, and we'll create a new product. And I'm just going to save that. So let's go and we'll create a new product so I can show you how that works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my store admin here, and I'm just going to create a new product, and we're going to upload that graphic. And so I'll just say create new, and I can search with all the product feeds from all the popular vendors are built into InkSoft. So if I need Bella Canvas or anything from Alpha Broad or Sanmar, Augusta, I can just do a search. I'm just going to add this 100% cotton Gildan t-shirt here. And then I'll add a color. And let's see, I'm kind of looking for maybe the stone blue is kind of interesting, but I like the black better. But olive might be interesting. Now prairie dust. That's kind of an intriguing color. So let's try prairie dust. That might be fun. So we're going to add that. So I'm going to add that color. So I'm going to get rid of the ash. We don't need it. So we're just going to add that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to upload the graphics. So all I have to do is just click on upload. You remember that PDF we created? Just go upload and then select the file and we'll upload it. I already uploaded it. So really all I have to do is just click on that. And then we'll just kind of get it. Actually, it looks great. And then I'll just kind of get it centered up on the shirt. I'll say create product. And I'll say next to add the product details. We're going to charge $25 for that right there. I'm going to hit finish. And now we've added a product. So that product is now available for my store. And so what I really need to do is just add this to the store. So I'll go back to that style editor here and I'll just say manage products and then we'll just add it. So I just say plus and then we'll hit done. We'll add it and then I'll just say save and publish. Well, here, let's move it up one layer. So I'm just going to go to the little drag and drop and I'm going to slide it in right above that design right there. So that's where it looks. And you notice I have a little countdown for how long the store is going to be open. So what we can do is we can actually set the store to be open for a specific period of time. And then we can close the store and then do all the fulfillment. And that's actually a smart way to do it when you're doing transfers, because just leave the store open for 3 weeks, close the store, collate all the orders, order the transfers for Supacolor, do production, and boom, you're done. So let's go ahead and save and publish that. And I'm going to go back to the main storefront here, and hey, I'll chat that into the link there too, so you can play around with that store if you want to see how that works. That's how easy it is to create a store in InkSoft. It's pretty amazing. So, but we're going to do something different. We're going to create a proposal. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. The way I'm going to get this over to the customer, we've gotten to the point where they've selected the graphic. So they're all in on the graphic, but we want to, firm up the order and we want to get paid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to proposals at InkSoft and I'm going to create a new proposal. So I'm just going to say create. And the first thing I want to do is I want to name it, and we'll just call this Heritage Motorsports Concepts. Okay. I want to add a customer. So I've been working with good old Greg Martinez over at Heritage. So he's already in my system. So we're going to add him. And then I want to associate this proposal with that Heritage store. And the reason I want to do that is I want the look and feel of the proposal to match the look and feel of the Heritage store with the colors and the logo and all the details. So I'm going to say save proposal. I'm going to say add a product. And we've already created that product, so we can add this color version here. We want, and we can add another one too. We can add this one too. I think I'm just going to do the one. And then we're going to say next. And then we're going to put in our quantities. So I'll do our quantities right here. It's pulling the price from the store. Now you can override the price, super easy. But it's just going to pull the price because remember I set the price to this to $25. So we'll add this to the proposal. And now this is what the customer is going to see. So when I send that to them, they're going to see, I'm going to hit save here. They're going to see this proposal as like an interactive order form, so to speak. So I'm going to go over here to customer view, and I could send them a quote, could send them an invoice, but I'm going to send them a proposal. This is a really neat way to do it. So the proposal is going to have the look and feel of the web store that I created. What a professional way to do business. And you're just making it super easy for your customer to do business with you, because they get this little link. They're looking at this. They said, hey, let's see what's going on. View proposal. All right. There's all the quantities that we discussed. There's the bigger, version of the image right there. Yep. That's exactly what I wanted. All right. Looking good. Whoa, approve and pay. Haha. Getting paid up front. So, when you buy from Amazon, they're not giving you credit terms. So when you use a proposal in InkSoft, there's an option for them just to click on this, say next, put in their credit card, check out, and they're done, and you're paid. And then this in turn goes into the InkSoft order manager, and then it tracks it all the way through shipping. for production and shipping. But what a clever way to get ideas in front of your customers. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on here was this concept of fundraising. Being able to use Supacolor transfers for fundraising programs is special. That's just one of the greatest uses of a Supacolor transfer, because you can do these high-end, very vibrant looking graphics, get them in front of your customers. They fall in love with the graphic, you set up a store for them, and you just sit back and collect orders. Now, e-commerce is the way to do that. The best way to do fundraising, you have to have some form of e-commerce capability. I'm using an InkSoft store to set this up, but you do have to have some form of e-commerce to use this technique. And one of the financial models that I recommend for fundraising is using a revenue sharing model, where as opposed to selling them product, you're collecting all the money via the store and you're giving them a percentage. And the advantage for them is they don't have to pay you up front. They also don't have to handle collecting payment. So, if there's kids involved, you don't have to have a kid grabbing credit card numbers. And you're just, basically setting a retail price and giving a percentage. But the biggest advantage is they can't really, shop you against other people, because they're just getting a revenue share based on a retail price that you guys establish together. And so that's a huge advantage. And a good portion of our customers have really moved to this revenue sharing model, because they get to keep more of the profit, and the customers actually prefer it. You can run a store for a set period of time and then close the store, collate all the transfers, and you can also run an evergreen store. One neat thing you can do with Supacolor transfers is you can get a deposit from the customer for say, $300, order in 100 transfers, and then, just basically have the orders go against those transfers. And then when you deplete those transfers, place another order. So that's a good way to kind of cover your bases, so you're, not stuck with excess inventory. But I think running a store for a set period of time is kind of the way to go. Once you close that store, set a cutoff date, order the transfers in Supacolor, do all the production. I always say keep the product mix limited. If you're going to pick 6 products for a store, this is really good advice. 100% cotton tee. You can do it all from one brand if you want. You could do this all with Hanes if you wanted to. 100% cotton tee, 100% cotton long sleeve tee, crew neck sweatshirt, pouch hoodie, dry fit tee, dry fit hoodie. If you do those 6 products, that's 80% of the business, in specifically in like a school type situation. So, keep that product mix limited. And then if you're smart about the way you color the transfer, then you can put that same transfer on multiple color shirts. So you can design the transfer so that it would work well on lights as well as darks. And so you can offer a wider range of colors with your customer. And, if it's a fundraiser that's built around an actual event that's happening, run it in a store as a pre-sale. So you can basically prime the pump there before the event actually starts. At the event, you're going to have inventory that the customers ordered, right? But the pre-sale, helps you get your costs down, because you had a larger volume of transfers you could order because you pre-sold 100 versus the 100 you're selling at the event. And then you also can order a few extra transfers, open the store back up for a second round. Who knows, you might need to reorder transfers as well. So Supacolor is literally the perfect way to do fundraising programs. All that flexibility of low minimums, high quality transfers with bright, vibrant colors that are, have all the colors of the rainbow versus the limits of really doing screen printing. And one of the things that I think you'll find is your customers over time will actually prefer doing a Supacolor transfer versus a traditional screen print. At least that's something that I've seen. So that's the basic idea. I wanted to show you two other things, and I'll kind of close with this. And we did the Imprinted Sportswear show in Long Beach, and we wanted to do shirts for all the employees. So we got Comfort Color long sleeve tees, and they hired a outside graphic design agency, not one of our designers, to do this kind of NASCAR themed design. And so they did this design. I saw the art. I liked the art. I thought it looked cool. I took one look at it and I said, this is going to be an absolute nightmare to screen print, because obviously the person that produced the artwork had no idea as to produce artwork for screen printing. It was going to be a nightmare. So I marked it up, all the changes that we needed to make. You need to have this, needs a hard edge, remove the shadow, all the different changes that we needed. And then we sent it back to the artist to have them fix it. In the meantime, we were ordering transfers from Supacolor that we had printed, And then we ordered some extra blank shirts and we were doing a giveaway. You come by our booth, we give you the transfer and the shirt, you walk over to Supacolor, you press it. So I sent the artwork to them and I got an email back shortly and it said, hey, listen, Craig, there's some problems with the artwork. It's not going to work with really our process. We can fix it up for you. And, it isn't going to take any time for us to do that at all. And I was like, hey, great, do it. And so this is what they did. They just took the graphic and they took out all the problem areas and cleaned it up. These transfers looked amazing. And when we're at the show, we're wearing the screen printed version of the transfer, which looked good. They look really sharp, but it had halftones in it. And the colors weren't super vibrant. It didn't really pop, but it looked kind of like that traditional NASCAR type t-shirt. But the Supacolor transfer versions were amazing. And people would see their shirt that they just pressed and they'd compare it to what we were wearing. And there was just like night and day difference. Everybody loved the Supacolor transfer. And I think this concept of leveraging, these Supacolor transfers as a premium decoration process. I think it's just a really smart way to go. And that's why, you can kind of hear that enthusiasm in my voice when I talk about Supacolor, because it's the perfect mechanism to sell artwork. It's a graphics driven business. We have all this great content and make it really super easy for people to modify it. And then you have this wonderful company that'll take that design and, in a very simplistic process where you're just basically uploading the artwork, they produce the transfer, they ship it to you, low minimum order quantities, great quality. Made a pretty good case that it's the artwork that drives the whole process. And this combination of GraphicsFlow and Supacolor together, and then you throw on the e-commerce capabilities and proposal capabilities of InkSoft, it's something pretty magical. I wanted to thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me today.